Okay, just for a second, I want you to imagine you're standing right in the middle of Shibuya Scramble Crossing.
The classic Tokyo postcard shot.
Exactly. You've got the pulsing neon, giant video screens everywhere, and, I don't know, maybe 3,000 people all trying to cross the street at the same time.
Without making eye contact, which is the real magic of it.
It's electric, it's iconic, and let's be honest, it is completely exhausting.
Oh, a sensory overload. I mean, for a lot of people, that's the reason you get on the plane, right? You want that intensity.
Sure.
But then you hit, like, day 3 of your trip and your brain just, it hits a wall. You suddenly crave a little bit of space.
You just want to walk without having to dodge someone's elbow for 5 minutes.
Exactly. And that's where we're going today. We're sort of offering the antidote to that neon jungle. We're heading west out to Hakioji to a place called Minami-Osawa.
That's Minami-Osawa. And if you're thinking this is just another concrete suburb, you really need to clear that image from your head. We're looking at a whole stack of architectural plans, field reports, and they all paint this picture of a garden city.
A futuristic one, yeah. It was built with this really radical philosophy where the pedestrian is king.
And the car is what, like a second-class citizen banished to the basement?
That's actually a pretty good way to put it. This isn't just a suburb. It's like a realized utopia from the late 80s that tried to solve the whole problem of the city by separating people from machines.
Okay, so to get why it looks so unique, we have to start with the ground itself, the geography. Before any of this was built, the area was all traditional valley terrain. The sources keep using this Japanese term, yato.
Yato, yeah. And a yato is a specific kind of valley made by erosion. Think like narrow, marshy valleys tucked between rolling hills.
Okay.
Now, you have to remember, back in the late 60s, Tokyo was just exploding. The economy was booming, everyone was moving to the city, and the government needed housing, like yesterday.
And that's where the Tama Newtown project came from.
The massive Tama Newtown project. But Newtown in Japan, you know, it often has a bit of a negative feel, doesn't it?
It makes me think of those endless rows of identical concrete apartment blocks. The Danchi.
Exactly, a bit soul-crushing. But Minami-Osawa was built later in the project, and the planners. They wanted to try something different. Instead of just flattening all the hills to make a grid, they looked at those Yato valleys and said, hey, let's work with this.
Let's build a city on layers.
That's it. Which brings us to the absolute core concept of this place, the Hashibunri system.
Right. When I was reading about this was the moment I realized this was not a normal town.
Hashibunri. It literally translates to pedestrian-vehicle separation. Now, this isn't a brand new idea.
I was going to say, I feel like I've heard of this concept before.
Yeah, urban planners might know it as the Radburn idea, which came from a town in New Jersey, of all places, back in the 1920s.
But Minami-Osawa took it to another level.
A massive, almost aggressive scale.
So, break that down for me. How does it actually feel when you get off the train and start walking around?
Okay, imagine 2 completely separate circulatory systems, one stacked on top of the other. The cars, the buses, the delivery trucks, they're all down on the ground level. Often they're running along the bottom of those Yato valleys.
Got it. So all the noise and exhaust is kept down low.
Exactly. But you, as a pedestrian, you're elevated. You're on this huge network of promenades, footbridges, and parks that are built on the ridges and the slopes of the hills.
The sources say you can walk for miles. I mean, literally miles, without ever stopping for a traffic light.
You never see a crosswalk.
Which sounds like a small thing, but the psychological effect of that is huge.
Yeah.
Normally, walking in a city is just stop, go, check for a turning car, hurry across the street. It's this constant low-level stress.
It's cognitive load. And here, that load just, it evaporates. You stop watching for traffic and you start actually looking at the scenery.
It changes how you move. You stroll instead of rush.
Right. And because you're up high, you're often looking down into the tops of the trees, not craning your neck up at them. It's a totally different perspective.
It's like the cars just vanished, even though they're right there, just 20 feet below you.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what you're actually looking at, because the vibe is, well, it's confusing in the best possible way.
It is not your typical Japanese station front.
No. You step out, and it feels like you've been dropped into a hill town somewhere in, like, Southern Europe.
That's the first impression for so many people.
This area is called Colline, Minami-Osawa.
Colline, yeah.
And the photos are just striking. You've got these warm red and brown brick buildings, slanted roofs, The whole thing just curves along the hillside. It feels so un-Tokyo.
It does, and that consistency is what's so rare. Usually in a development this big, you get 10 different companies building 10 different things, and it's a total mess.
Chaos.
But here, they use a master architect system.
A single vision.
One single vision. The architect was Shozo Uchi. He's a very big name in Japanese architecture, designed the Setagaya Art Museum. And his whole philosophy was that buildings shouldn't conquer the landscape. They should sit inside it.
It's that organic architecture idea.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
So if you look at Colline, the buildings actually step down the hills. They follow the original contours of the Yato.
And the lighting, too. I read about the lights around the station rotary. They have this kind of, 1990s futuristic look.
It's total retrofuturism. It's what people in the 80s thought the year 2020 would look like. It's nostalgic, but it still works.
It really does.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the glue that holds all this together. We mentioned the layers, people up and cars down. The only way that works is with bridges.
So many bridges.
And usually a footbridge is the ugliest thing in a city. Just a rattling metal cage over a highway. But here, the bridges seem to be the main event.
They're the landmarks.
Yeah.
And there's a technical term for them that we really need to unpack. They're all PC bridges.
I have to admit, my first thought was personal computer bridge. Like, does it have Wi-Fi?
It's a very common mistake. But no, in civil engineering, PC stands for pre-stressed concrete.
Okay, explain that like I'm 5. What is pre-stressed concrete and why should I care?
All right, think of a row of books. If you just pick up the 2 books at the ends, all the ones in the middle just fall out, right?
Right.
Concrete is like that. It's really strong if you squeeze it, if you compress it, but it's very weak if you try to stretch it or bend it.
So a long beam would just snap under its own weight.
It would, but pre-stressing is like taking those books and squeezing them together with a clamp really, really hard before you lift them. That pressure holds everything together.
Okay.
In a bridge, they run high-tension steel cables through the concrete and basically squeeze the bridge together from the inside.
And that squeezing lets the bridge be, what, different?
Thinner, longer, much more elegant. You don't need giant support pillars every 10 feet. You can get these beautiful sweeping curves that almost look like they're floating.
So you go from a clunky metal cage to a piece of sculpture.
Precisely. A perfect example is the Sakura pedestrian bridge.
That's the one that goes towards Oyamadere Park, right?
Yes. It's got this beautiful rounded form. It's not just a way to get across the road, it's designed to frame the view. And in spring, that whole walkway is a tunnel of pink cherry blossoms.
And because it's a PC bridge, there are no ugly supports blocking the view.
You're just gliding right through the canopy of flowers. It's incredible.
There's another one photographers seem to love, the View Bridge. The Miharashi Bridge.
Ah, yes. This is what I call the king of the world spot. It crosses the main highway and the train tracks way up high. And because of that deep Yato geography we talked about, standing on it feels incredibly high.
And that's where you get the signature photo of the town.
That is the shot. You look out and see that perfect curve of the Colline red roof snaking along the green hillside. It's the picture that makes people say, wait, where is this? That can't be Tokyo.
We also have to mention the Funagata Bridge.
The boat-shaped bridge.
It literally looks like the hull of a ship floating over a sea of green. It's just so playful.
It is, and that's the thing. They didn't have to do that. They could have just built a flat slab and saved a ton of money.
But they chose to make the walk itself an experience.
Which goes right back to Shozo Uchi and that core philosophy. If you want to build a real pedestrian city, you have to make walking delightful, not just efficient.
And that idea extends beyond the pavement, too. There's something I want to mention for listeners who like to get a little off the main path. The secret base.
I love this one. This is hidden away in the Shimizu-Erie green space.
It's one of these lush green belts that runs between the residential areas. And the source mentions a tower.
An observation tower, yeah. It sits at the top of the stone staircase, and it feels really isolated. But the reason it's called a secret base is because of how it changes with the seasons.
And here's the twist.
Yeah.
If you go in the summer, you climb all the way up expecting this amazing view, and you see nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Zero visibility. The trees grow so thick around it that you are just completely surrounded by green leaves. It's a hideout.
It feels like you found some lost ruin in a jungle, but you're a 10-minute walk from a train station.
But then in winter, when all those leaves fall,
You completely transform.
the curtain lifts. Suddenly you can see the mountains. You can see the whole layout of the town. It's a dynamic piece of architecture that rewards you for coming back at a different time of year.
I just love that. It shows that the nature here isn't just a manicured park. It's a little bit wild that Yato is still alive.
It really is. You know, when you put all these things together, the red roofs, the PC bridges, these secret towers, it's clear that this place is just dense with secrets. We're barely scratching the surface here.
We really are. I mean, the notes we have are full of things that sound like they're from an adventure novel, not a city guide. We have some serious mysteries to solve in the next few deep dives.
We should probably give everyone a bit of a roadmap, because it gets even weirder than just nice bridges.
Okay, so next time, we're going to find the Rondo Bridge. It's right by the station, a big circular pedestrian bridge. But the secret is, if you look at the tiles on the floor, it's actually a giant sundial.
A massive clock built right into the pavement. Apparently there are Roman numerals hidden in the pattern. It's wild.
And then, for anyone into history, we have the Tank Road. This one blew my mind. The One Green Road.
That's one meaning ridge, not the number one.
Right, the Ridge Green Road. Today it's just joggers and people walking their dogs. But during World War II,
It was a secret test track for the Imperial Japanese Army. They used that long, straight ridge to test the speed and suspension of their tanks.
and the craziest part is, the evidence is still there.
It is. You can find these faded 30-kilometer speed limit signs painted on the footpath, and those weren't for joggers.
They were for tanks. And finally, the one I'm most excited for, the Da Vinci Code of Bell Colline.
This is a genuine mystery.
We mentioned the master architect, but it seems someone else hit a puzzle right in the city blocks.
There are these symbols, these emblems, embedded in the brickwork in the pavement. Sunflowers, moons, constellations.
The sources talk about finding a moon in one area, a Mercury symbol in another.
Yeah.
It's like a treasure hunt written into the architecture.
It really adds this whole other layer to exploring the place. You're not just looking at buildings, you're trying to read the city.
So, if we put this all together, what's the big takeaway? Why should you, our listener, care about some suburb in West Tokyo?
I think it challenges the standard travel plan. You know, most people come to Tokyo and they hit the big five, Shibuya, Shinjuku, Asakusa, and so on. And those places are great, but they will wear you out.
Minami-Osawa offers a totally different vision of what a Japanese city can be.
It's a glimpse into a future that was imagined in the past. This was the 1980s idea of a perfect city, a place where you could live a modern life without the noise and the danger of cars.
And it really holds up. In a world that just keeps getting louder and more crowded, finding a place that is designed to make you slow down where you can just walk, that's a real luxury.
It's civil engineering as therapy.
So here's our advice. If the crowds in Shinjuku are starting to feel a bit much, just hop on the Kyo line. It's about 40 minutes from Shinjuku Station.
An easy day trip. The express trains run all the time.
Get off the train, walk out onto that main promenade, and just start walking. Don't look for a taxi, don't look for a bus. Just follow the red bricks and the green trees.
See if you can spot some of those beautiful PC bridges.
And if you're feeling adventurous, go find that secret base in the Shimizu-Eri green space. But remember, if it's summer, just enjoy the hideout, because you won't be seeing much of a view.
You'll definitely find some peace and quiet, though.
Exactly. This series is going to be your audio guide. We'll walk you through the history, the mysteries, and the best places to just stop and breathe.
It's a side of Tokyo most tourists never see. And frankly, a lot of locals don't even know about it.
So lace up your walking shoes, the train's pulling into the station. Your journey into the hidden utopia starts right now.
See you on the promenade.